Right now, cardiovascular disease causes more deaths than any other disease group in society, and it's done so for many years, despite all the clinical work and training and teaching and research. My name's Professor Keith McNeil. I'm the Chief Clinical Information Officer for Queensland and Deputy Director General in the Prevention Division, and I'm here to talk to you today about the burden of cardiovascular disease and the critical need for investment in research for us to be able to translate research into better clinical outcomes.
I remember being in an accident emergency and they said, "Oh, you're having a heart attack." And my response was, "You're kidding. No, I'm definitely not having a heart attack." But I was. Thinking that I was a fit person and then realising that I wasn't a fit person, I was actually a sick person, and not being detected for 30, 40, possibly 50 years is quite astounding. In my case, I've had all sorts of cardiac tests and nothing came up until I actually had a heart attack and an angiogram. That's why it's so important to have some biomarkers or some other forms of research to assist the clinicians, the GPs, the specialists, to make a more of a holistic diagnosis.
I'm a researcher at the Institute for Molecular Bioscience at University of Queensland, and my research involves analysing genetic data on thousands of individuals to not only understand what genes cause heart disease, but also using that information to determine who's more likely to get disease in the future, so that we have more time to make changes and actually prevent disease in the first place. To take a basic science discovery into real-world impact, it really takes a long time. I kind of think of it as a marathon relay, where basic science is really the start of the race. And that discovery, that baton, needs to pass through many hands, many experts, before we can finally give it to clinicians or doctors who can pass it on to their patients. And each leg of that journey takes many years and needs a lot of support. And if we don't facilitate or provide that support, that baton's going to drop.
Any type of research that can assist that diagnostic or diagnosis to prevent heart disease, I think it would be so wonderful for men and women.
Cardiovascular disease is a much greater pandemic than COVID. COVID will go away. Cardiovascular disease is here to stay and is growing year after year after year. It's only through medical research that we can reduce its burden on our friends, our families and ourselves when we are patients. And it's only through dedicated researchers and the research they produce that together we can provide today's patients a better tomorrow.
You can't explain it, what it was like, but to be offered a heart when you're on your last legs, it's just something you can't. I will never experience that sort of thing in life again, I don't think. 16 and a half years later, I'm now 73 years of age. My heart is still beating strong. I've 9 grandchildren. My youngest daughter got married. And I've seen my oldest grandchildren go to university, and I would have missed all that. 16 years out of those children's lives.
If there wasn't any research, bypass surgery wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't have had surgery, I wouldn't be alive. So research is imperative.
Really, if we want to come up with new ways to help prevent, treat or cure disease, we have to fund basic science research, because these really provide the fundamentals of understanding how the human body works and how disease happens. If we don't have that knowledge, we can't really come up with new ways to treat disease.
We need to do more, we need to do it smarter, we need to do it faster. So we need continuous investment in research, we need to build research, effective research collaboratives, we need to share information and intelligence across the system so we can bring that whole construct to bear on addressing the extant needs of people with cardiovascular disease and translate that research into tangible clinical outcomes.
We have bought a couple more farms, and I still love to get out on the farm when I'm able.
I've just been loving life, absolutely feeling fantastic and trying to do as much as I can. I feel like I'm 20 again.
If we are going to address the burden of cardiovascular disease right across the population, if we are going to address the variation in care and the inequity in outcomes and access, we can only do that through continuous and effective investment into research, into teaching, training and education. And along with that goes to putting together sophisticated data and information sharing systems which enable us to bring that research together in a coordinated and effective way.
We're incredibly fortunate to live in this wonderful state that is Queensland. But a sad fact is that Queensland has the highest rate of cardiovascular disease across Australia. And in the people of our First Nation, they have got the highest rate across Queensland. We must do better and we can do better, but we can only achieve better outcomes through research and education so that we provide a better future for tomorrow's patients. And that could be you.